Hello friends, today we'll discuss about pancreas. We know that pancreas are the organ which have both exocrine and endocrine functions. That is, they secrete hormones and at the same time they are responsible to secrete enzymes. That is the some of the secretion. This is a gland, so it is having some secretion, and we could see that why it is been having, why we are saying and or why we are differentiating that it is having some as exocrine endocrine is that some of its secretions are carried through ducts. That is, those area will be connected through duct, and some part of it releases the secretion through via the blood secretion. Does not have any duct. And we can see that when I see the pancreas, I could say that about 99% of its cells they produce digestive enzymes. And when I see through the microscope and the stain section, it shows a darkly stained region and a lightly stained regions. That means they are having two different type of parenchymal cells. And the lightly stained one are the ones which we are concerned here, that is the islets of Langerhans. That means they produce hormones, and once and they don't have any duct, so they directly release their secretion into the blood. Whereas the darkly stained cells, which we call it as the acini or acinar cells, they are connected to ducts, and we can see that they are concerned with exocrine function, and they are mostly responsible to release digestive enzymes into the gut, digestive enzyme into the digestive tract, and it is via ducts. And as I said, we are concerned only with the endocrine function of a pancreas here in this chapter. So in here we are concerned with the islets of Langerhans. And when I see thoroughly, I could say that it is mainly made up of 3 plus 1 4 cells, that is alpha cells, A cells, which are responsible to secrete the hormone glucagon. That is, this hormone is responsible to raise the blood sugar level. And how they break the blood sugar, how they raise the blood sugar level is that they break down the liver glycogen, and in this way they release the glucose into the blood. The second type of cell, the majority of the acina part is made up of B cells or the beta cells which secrete insulin, and the function of insulin is to lower the blood sugar. And how they lowers the blood sugar is that they are the ones which are responsible for the cellular oxidation of glucose, and they are also and they promote the lowering of blood sugar by promoting the conversion of glucose to glycogen or the fat stores. And at the same time they also prevent, parallelly they prevent the glycogenolysis, glycogenolysis. The third type of cell is the delta cell or the B cells which secrete the hormone somatostatin, and this hormone is known to have the inhibition on insulin and glucagon. So here we could say that insulin and the glucagon are the major hormones of pancreas, and both of them are peptide in nature. And how they are being under control is that they mainly when I speak about insulin or the glucose, they are under the control of the negative feedback system. That is, they depend upon the amount of the glucose in the blood. When if we take an example of insulin, I could say that the blood glucose level, it is the major factor which chiefly controls the secretion of insulin. The blood glucose level is directly proportional to insulin. If there is high blood sugar, there will be high secretion of insulin, and this insulin will intake in fact promotes the intake of cellular glucose, and leads to the metabolism of glucose, and in this way it reduces the blood glucose level. Whereas if there is a, if there is a reduction in the blood glucose level, that will inhibit the release of insulin. Now we'll just see the structure. We could say that it is placed here with pancreas, and if I take a close section, I could see pancreas here, leaf-like structure, And if we take a cross section, we could say that it shows two type of cells, that is the acinar cell, that is major portion is the acinar cell, and the lightly stained part the islets of Langerhans. And the islet of Langerhans itself will be made up of mostly the four types, that is the alpha cell. We could see this blue violet stain one is the alpha cell, and the majority of the part of AC islets of Langerhans composed of B cells, beta cells, and the next one is delta cell, and intermediately they will be also having the F cells. So how is the control of this? We have already said if there is a low blood sugar level, that is hypoglycemia, it stimulates the alpha cells to secrete the glucagon. So here is the alpha cells, it will secrete glucagon. So glucagon acts on the liver cells, and which we know that it is the glycogen reserve. So they convert the glycogen to glucose, that is glycogenolysis. And also at the same time they form glucose from lactic acid reserves and also from amino acid, that is non carbohydrate source. So we call that process as gluconeogenesis. If a glucose is synthesized from a known carbohydrate source, because glucose is a carbohydrate, so if it is being formed from a non carbohydrate source like lactic acid or some other amino acid, we can call it as gluconeogenesis. And then glucose, so from glycogenesis and gluconeogenesis, we could see that glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis, more and more glucose will be released into the blood system, and it will lead to the rise of blood glucose. And if blood glucose continues to rise like this, it will cause a feedback, negative feedback on the acinar cells. And in this way, if blood glucose increases, it causes a condition, hyperglycemia. And if that is a condition, it stimulates the beta cells to secrete insulin. And insulin, how they bring about the action, we have already discussed. We'll just summarize it. That is, they act on they accelerate the facilitated diffusion of glucose into the, so they promotes the uptake of glucose into the cell, first one. Second one is that they stimulate the, or they speed up the conversion of this glucose into the carbohydrate stores, that is glycogen, that is glycogenesis. Next, they increase the uptake of amino acids and increase protein synthesis, and they speed up the synthesis of fatty acid, that is lipogenesis, and at the same time they slow down, on the other hand they slow down the what we have said, this one, glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. So here we could say that blood glucose level falls down, and if it continues it goes a feedback system, negative feedback, and it stops further release of insulin. So that is the condition. Now we'll discuss about the disorders of pancreas. The major disorder of pancreas is the diabetic mellitus. Here it is not concerned with a single symptom, it is backed with lots of problem abnormality, and it is mainly caused by insulin deficiency, and leading to if there is a problem with insulin, we could see that it causes the disorders of metabolism related to glucose. So deficiency of glucose results in rapid decrease of cellular uptake of glucose, of course, and also the breakdown of, the oxidation of glucose and the conversion into the glycogen. So as well, if it is not being taken from the blood, it is not utilized by the cell, that gradually leads to the elevated blood glucose level, and I call this condition as hyperglycemia. And the increased blood glucose level in the blood results in lots of elimination of urine, and this condition I call it as this glucose through the urine, I call it as, if there is sugar content in the urine, we call it as glycosuria. And there will be, if there is a lots of loss of glucose through the urine, there will be loss of water too. And excessive loss of water through urine creates unusual thirst, and the consequences increase uptake of water. Diabetic mellitus can be of two types, that is type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetics. The first one, type 1, we can call it as insulin dependent diabetics, and it is due to insulin deficiency, and it is caused by autoimmune destruction of the beta cells. Our own body immune system will destruct the beta cells. Just imagine if there is no beta cell, of course there will be no insulin. And in this case, the patient lacked the beta cells, and treatment for this patient therefore consists of insulin injection. But then, we can say that this is usual in children too. And whereas in case of diabetic 2, insulin, it is a insulin independent diabetics, and the patient generally have normal levels of insulin, but the cells do not utilize this. Just imagine, beta cell is there, normal insulin is there, but then the cell will not be able to utilize the insulin. So, net effect is the improper utilization of glucose. And in type 2 diabetics, we normally call it as insulin independent diabetes. The patient generally have normal levels of insulin in their blood, but as I said, the cells do not utilize this hormone due to reduced sensitivity. And this condition is referred to as insulin resistance. Even if insulin is there, but then there is a resistance. And the type 2 diabetes usually present in obese and overweight adults, and it makes up about 90% of cases in diabetics. And people with type 2 diabetes do not require insulin, in fact. And it is partially preventable by staying in a normal weight, exercising regularly, and eating properly. So that's all. Thank you.